If you earn 1 million monthly, and let's say you do not spend a dime, for you to become a billionaire in Naira, it will take you 83 years before you can accumulate 1 billion Naira. There is something known as an economic ladder, and I also like to call it the wealth pyramid, because structurally life itself is a pyramid. And why this is so essential and important is because when you know the spot you are currently in on the economic ladder, that is what informs your next step. When you identify, oh, I'm in income generating phase, you know that, oh, I need to generate income, I need to accelerate my income. When you know that, oh, now I've started accelerating my income, I've started bringing in maybe 200 to 500 or $1 million every month sustainably, now you need to move to wealth accumulation. So what do? You start acquiring assets. After you acquire assets, what do? You start growing the asset portfolio. That is, you start expanding, you start accumulating the assets, and that becomes wealth accumulation. That's when you have actually started the wealth game, when you start accumulating asset and wealth. Then you move to, after you've accumulated to a sizable amount, let's say for simplicity we'll just use $1 billion. Once you've reached $1 billion in valuation, you start moving to wealth preservation. That is how it works. Once you know where you are on the economic ladder, it informs your strategy. I know where I am. I know that I just recently moved into, because I've been up and down multiple times. I'm saying it clearly and plainly. But knowing where I am now determines what I focus on now. I know that I'm in the wealth accumulation phase. So what that simply means is that I'm not looking for anything that preserves the wealth that I don't have. I'm just trying to accumulate it, so I cannot be preserving what I don't have. I hope you're following. So let's move very quickly. After you've identified where you are on the wealth ladder, the next question is, why is it that land is renowned for, or considered one of the best instruments for generational wealth? Why land? Why is it land? I'm talking about from the days of Babylon. If you go and read books like The Richest Men in Babylon, if you read the Bible, you would see that land has been consistent from that time till today. There are several attributes that land have that other asset type does not have. Why land? Number one, land has a limited supply. There is no way, like for instance, we know the entire square meter of Abuja. It will not grow, it will not increase. That's the supply. That's the limit. It cannot go beyond that. We are not producing more lands every year. It has a limited supply. So, but the problem is the demand is not limited. So what causes the demand? Number one, birth rate. Nigeria is giving birth to about 9 million babies every year. See, when I say these things, people don't understand we are sitting on a time bomb. 9 million babies are born into Nigeria every year. For context, many European countries that we are jackpot to, the entire population of that country is around that 9 million. I'll give you, Switzerland is about 9 million people. Nigeria is giving birth to the whole of Switzerland every year. Every year. So that means in 10 years, we've given birth to 90 million babies. 90 million. You think it is a joke? Where are they going to live? Sit down and ponder what I just said now. Number two, it is urban migration. What that simply means is that Nigeria is a very massive country. But how many places have economic opportunities? It's just Abuja, Lagos, maybe Kano, maybe in the southeast, maybe you could say, I don't even know where to use in southeast, I could say Anambra, yes, Anambra would go, and then you could say, that's basically it. 4 or 5 major cities, then south, you could say Port Harcourt. Just 4 or 5 cities in the whole of Nigeria that have high economic potential where people migrate to for purpose of economic reasons. Just 5. That is why you see Lagos has a population that is greater than the whole of Ghana. Why? Economic reasons. People move to Lagos not because they like Lagos, it's because there's economic activity in Lagos. And you see, but the question is the land size of Lagos or Abuja increasing? No, the land size is fixed. And yet we are increasing 9 million babies every year. So what does that tell you? And then this 90 million that we've just produced in the last 10 years, remember in 10 years from now, they will become 18, 20 years old. They'll become the new 20 years old in the next 10 years. The question is, where are they going to live? In this same Abuja that is already full. Abuja was planned for 3 million people. Current statistics is that we're already sitting at above 4.5 million people. So where are the rest going to? This 90 million that have just entered into the circle now, they are in their parents' house for now. But in the next 10 years, they will start living. Where are they going to live? Do you understand now why you see that what is happening in Abuja, what we call the economic migration of the Abuja city? That is why land is one of the best appreciating assets in economically viable cities. Maitama and city centers are full. You can't even afford land there anymore because a 1,000 square meter of land, let me use 450 square meter. 450 square meter of land in places like Maitama, Sokoro, which are what we call maturity stages, are in billions already. So what happens? It will start shifting people. And let me show you a trail as I slide into the next phase. Why we chose the group BWARI, why we chose the location for BWARI. Let me show you the trail. For those of you that have been in FCT in Abuja, it is important for you to follow this trail that I'm going to cast now. If you see the way Abuja expanded from Asokoro, from Garki Asokoro, moved to Maitama axis, and then it developed and then moved to, I'm using the Kuba Expressway Trail, which is called the Northern Corridor. So it moved to where? It moved to Katampe Extension, opposite Ijai, and then it moved to where Gwarimpa was already established. So the opposite of Gwarimpa picked up, which is Dawaki. And then as you keep moving down, Kubwa is already, if you know that land is ridiculously expensive in Kubwa now. And then you have the Karasana axis. And then when you turn in, you have the Duse axis. And then opposite Duse is where you have the FO1. Look at the trail. If you follow, you'll see that development has been following like that. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? That development trail has reached where we call Ushafa now. Ushafa is already developed. Ushafa has entered what we call the acceleration phase. The acceleration phase of the growth cycle. And once a plot is already at the acceleration phase, what happens? It's already pricing people out. What after Ushafa, where is the next corridor? It's BWARI. There's no other place. After Ushafa is BWARI. So if you follow that trail, you understand why we selected that location. But remember, the reason why we talk about land and making it a generational wealth, I've talked to you, is limited in supply. It has acceleration growth potential because of the demand. And of course, land does not get liquidated. There is no such thing as it was hacked, it was delisted. For those of us that trade stocks or shares, we know what I'm talking about. The company collapsed. No, land does not collapse. Land does not get liquidated. It is solid, it is physical, it is there. And especially when you are in wealth accumulation phase, one of the benefits of land is that it is not liquid. You cannot just wake up because you're hungry today, you say, I want to sell my land, and you can sell it. It does not work like that. So it protects you against your own self. It's something that I thought was a flaw in the land as an asset, the fact that you cannot easily sell it. I now realize when you're talking about wealth accumulation, because wealth takes time, the fact that you cannot just wake up and sell that land, it will force your brain to look at other channels, other means for you to generate money and survive while the land is still appreciating. That's actually a good feature, not a disadvantage. So why the group BWARI specifically? Why did we choose? Because I'm rounding off now. Why the group BWARI? Why did we choose this location? Why BWARI of all places in Abuja? Listen, I tell people I'm not a developer. I am an investor who looks for, remember, I know where I am on the wealth accumulation phase. So I am looking for something that can accelerate my wealth, not something that can preserve my wealth. So I'm not interested in any instrument that is already in maturity phase. I'm looking for something that is in early stage and then it can accelerate. So, but why did we choose BWARI of all locations? There are many reasons, but today I'm going to talk about just two. Number one, commercial anchor. There is a book I am writing, which I'm going to publish by the end of this month. It's called CIGA, the Strategic Land Acquisition Framework. When you have that book, I'm going to make it free. When you have the book and you read it and understand it, you can select lands for investment purposes. Not buying land out of emotional reasons, for investment purposes, as a wealth accumulation instrument, as a wealth accumulation asset. So number one reason we choose that location in BWARI, it's called commercial anchors. What are commercial anchors? Anything that would compel demand, traffic, people, human beings to keep coming to a location is called an anchor. And then we prefer that anchor to be commercial. Commercial in the sense that people come there to use that services. They need that services. That is why they come to that location. And as a result of that anchor being pinned in that location, people will travel from left, right, center to come to that location. It is very essential when you're looking for early stage land to buy. So that is one of the reasons why we chose BWARI, commercial anchor. So there are three in that book. I talked about the three different types of commercial anchors, which I'm going to break down very quickly. We have the specific anchor. The specific anchor here is that this institution is already built, is already functioning, is already established, is already driving traffic. So for BWARI, and for the particular, BWARI is big, but we chose a particular spot. Why? Proximity to a specific anchor. And what is this specific anchor? Veritas University. It's just about 2-point-something kilometers away from our own location, from the group BWARI, 2-point-something kilometers. And Veritas is a Catholic university. If you know anything about Catholic, that's a massive institution, and they also acquire land strategically. And just 1 kilometer away from us is also their sisters' quarters. So we looked at all those things and said, if Veritas is on this road, we want to be on that road. Specific anchor, that's one. The second anchor we looked for was aggregate. This one is very important because this is what protects your capital in case the specific anchor does not do well. So the aggregate anchor is a lot of terminologies, but you grab it. I'll make the book free and available so you get it. But aggregate anchor, aggregate simply means, example of aggregate, aggregate means there are multiple anchors. There are multiple. So aggregate here in this context is, number one, I've shown you the trail of Abuja, the way Abuja has been moving towards the north. And now move to move to Ushafa. Ushafa has entered acceleration. For those of us that are familiar with that area, you could get a plot of land there for 300k, 500k just about 5 years ago. But today we are talking 20 to 30 million naira for the same plot. Why? It has moved from early stage to acceleration. And I was telling somebody the rent for Ushafa is approximately the same with Gwarimpa and Dawaki now. It's funny, but yes, because why? Ushafa has entered acceleration. So what does that tell me? Remember, my objective is I want my asset to accelerate 30x, 100x. I'm not looking for marginal growth because I'm not in wealth preservation yet. I'm in what? Wealth accumulation. So I need something that can grow exponentially. So that means I'm out. I'm misplaced in Ushafa. I need to look for the next. Where is the next inevitable zone? So by that aggregate anchor, the way the city is migrating, you already know that after Ushafa, what is BWARI? Then the next is the law school. Nigerian law school brings in 1,500,000 people every year to BWARI. See, this anchor is a specific anchor and also an aggregate anchor. Why? You people, they don't have a choice. They have to come to BWARI if they are posted to the law school in BWARI. It's not a flex. It's not like, oh, it's optional. No, they don't have a choice. They have to come to BWARI. Out of 1,500, maybe a few will settle around BWARI because of proximity for lectures. Nobody wants headache to travel from town and be coming every time. So that proximity would allow them, they will start looking for accommodations within BWARI. So that is what we call in business a captive market. They catch them put for BWARI. Very important. That is one of the reasons why we selected BWARI. And then the next one is what? The ghost anchor. Let me add one more. For the aggregate anchor, for those of us that have seen the videos I've posted, that axis where we are, they've already tarred about a 9 to 10 kilometer road. That is still what? Infrastructure coming to that location. Then the next one is the ghost anchor. Our location is just 200 meters away from Air Force Estate. Just 200 meters. So your next door neighbor is an Air Force Estate. But when we call it a ghost anchor, it simply means that it is physically there, but it is not yet occupied. What does that tell us? The price has not yet adjusted to reflect what is coming to this location. So 200 meters away is that kind of project. And then lastly, because I'm really running out of time, is that affordability. All of these points I've made is to show you the axis we choose in BWARI is still very affordable. Remember, I am just in wealth accumulation like many people, so I'm looking for something that I can enter at a reasonable entry, but also has a large ability to accelerate. So given that I'm surrounded by specific anchors, aggregate anchors, and of course a ghost anchor. Another ghost anchor is that Base University is building an aviation school. They're on site. This is not a promise. They're on site. They are building just 4 kilometers away from our location. When all these things activate, what do you think will happen to our price? It will accelerate. It will accelerate. So we enter before the acceleration. That is the concept behind investing at early entry. That is why I did not go to Ushafa. That is why I'm not buying FO1. That is why I'm not buying Karasana. I'm not buying Jai. I'm not buying all those things. I'm not emotionally attached to BWARI. I am a businessman looking for an opportunity that will give me the highest possible return over a period of time. And remember, what I'm talking about is beyond BWARI. It's the model for selecting high growth potential lands. It is very important. High growth potential and treating land as an asset, an instrument for wealth accumulation, not an emotional thing. Not, oh, I hear somebody say it's too far. Do you want to live there? You don't necessarily have to live there. You are an investor looking for where the next big thing is going to come from. And what I've simply shown you, we have a scientific model for selecting a place that brings the next big thing.